Two of the most important things that will absolutely change your life, regardless of what you are trying to accomplish, regardless of what you're trying to do, and regardless of what your goals are, is speed and focus. I feel like speed and focus is something that is not talked about enough in pretty much anywhere. Like, speed and focus can absolutely change your life and change the trajectory towards where you're trying to head to with whatever that goal is. And now look, I'm being very vague right now because this is something that can literally change every single part of your life. A lot of us tend to like really just try and take our time, be passive about things and plan things out and think about the future and do all these things. And look, that's all important. You 100% should plan for the future. You should 100% slow down. You should 100% be strategic as to how you're going to move, where you're headed to, who you're working with. Like, all those things are important. I'm not trying to confuse you guys here and tell you that all those things I've talked about in the past or all these other things that people talk about are not important. They're all important. But what's also very important is to be able to move fast with massive speed and massive focus. Now look, there comes a time and a place where you have to learn when to slow down and when to move at lightning speed, right? Usually at the beginning when you're first starting off, like, you might not know what you're doing. You might not know where you're headed. You might not know what you're working on. You might not know who you should even be talking to, try and figure out the quickest way to your goal. But eventually you get to a point where speed absolutely takes over, where you have to move so much faster than the competition and move even faster than you even believe you can move. Now, the only way that you're truly gonna know and be able to move at a rapid pace is with absolute 100% focus, right? So focus is something that's talked about all the time and everywhere, right? In all acts of life, and especially in sports. Like, it's talked about in sports all the time. If you're not actually focused, like, and you're present right here, right now with what you're doing, somebody else is gonna beat you. Somebody else is gonna be more present, more focused, more dialed in, and then they're gonna end up beating you. The same thing goes when it comes to anything related with school, right? You can be at school, you could be studying something, you could be taking a test. If you're not hyper focused with what you're doing right here, right now, and you're thinking about what happened at home the night before, chances are you're gonna mess up. Chances are you're gonna forget. Chances are you're gonna get distracted. Chances are you're not gonna actually be able to perform at the level that you know that you can. And so I can literally choose anything in this world. Anything. I can literally think about anything. Like, drop a comment below about something where you don't think focus and speed matter, and I will find a way to show you that it does. Right? Now look, I'm not an expert at this, and I'm not telling you that I know everything, because I don't. But what I believe I do know, and I say I believe because I've seen this happen time and time again with friends and within myself, is that the faster you move, the faster you make decisions, and the faster you actually apply those decisions, the faster your life starts changing and your business starts changing, right? It's the exact same thing in anything else, right? We can think about all these crazy ideas. We can think about possibilities of what we can create or what we might be able to do. But if you don't actually take action and fast action on those things, somebody else will. Now look, success is not easy, but it's pretty simple, right? Now let me explain that to you. What do I mean by it's simple, but it's not easy, right? Easy would be like, hey, I'm gonna take 10 steps right now. That's pretty easy. Like, everybody can do that. The simplicity behind taking 10 steps is also it's simple. It's pretty straightforward. You put one foot in front of the other and you just walk, right? So when I say becoming successful within anything that you wanna accomplish, when I say it's simple, but it's not easy, you have to be able to distinguish the difference between those two, okay? I'm not gonna sit here and just tell you that, like, hey, making $1 billion is gonna be super easy, because it's not, right? But it is pretty simple. Simple in the sense that you can create the right approach, the right plan, and with enough time and with enough luck and with enough execution, you'll actually be able to make it happen, right? We're not trying to rebuild a rocket from the ground up, or we're not trying to build a rocket for the first time ever because it's never been done, right? We're not trying to build something that's never been done. When you look at all the things that you want to accomplish, most people, most of the things, and I'm talking about this to everybody, right? I'm not just talking about the person who's saying, hey, I want to invent the next thing that's never been invented, or I want to break a world record, or I want to become the best that there's ever been in any type of criteria, or learn or discover something that's never been discovered. That is for sure difficult, and it's still possible, right? But I'm talking about every single person in this world. Every single person in this world, there's something that we all want to have. There's something that we want to create. There's something that we would like to live within. Most of those things are pretty simple, right? Because there is tons of history of how those things have been accomplished, but yet most of us never actually do them, right? And why is that? And the reason why I believe most of us don't do it, it's not just simply because we don't believe in it. Like, that's part of it for sure. There's a big part of us that does not actually believe that we can accomplish the thing that we're trying trying to accomplish. But for those of us who do believe it, right? For those of us who do believe that we can actually accomplish that one thing, what ends up happening is that your focus level and execution level is just, honestly, it's kind of trash, right? Including mine. At one point or another, like I was just not operating at a place that would actually allow me to create the life of my dreams, right? To be able to create what I actually wanted to create. And here's one of the final things that I believe will absolutely help you not only move fast, but make decisions significantly faster. Have you guys ever seen horse races? And usually horses, when they're racing, they have these guards, these like guardrails on their eyes, right? The reason why they have these guardrails is because they don't want them to get distracted, right? At the end of the day, it's an animal. Animals get distracted. They tend to not be as focused, not all of them, but a lot of them. I mean, even us, right? We get distracted by so many things. If I just look around in my entire place, like I can literally see, dozens of different things on my peripheral, but what if I was just so locked in where all I can see was right in front of me, right? So you guys have to be able to create some form of guardrails to stay focused on what you're working on, right? And an example of that would be like, hey, your friends hit you up and say like, hey, let's go hang out and have some fun. Is that part of the vision, right? Is that part of the mission of what you're trying to accomplish? And there's going to be times and moments where you're going to have to say no, right? You have to stay focused with the task on hand. And look, there's a lot of people out there who are going to say, you can't just isolate yourself and stay by yourself for the rest of your life. Like you should be able to like hang out with friends, with family, do things that are fun. Look, I absolutely agree. I am not telling you that you should not hang out with friends. I'm not telling you you should ignore your family. I'm not saying any of that. But again, if creating hyper focus and moving at a rapid pace and making the decisions towards that goal consistently is going to require you to have those guardrails on, whatever you think that means to you, you might have to do it, right? And it doesn't mean that you can't do this. I know I've met people who've made millions of dollars who like to party all the time, right? But maybe they could have gone way further if they didn't do that. What I do believe in is what I should say, and from what I've read, from what I've heard, from what I've learned from people, is that the less distractions that you have, it is significantly easier to stay hyper focused and move at such a rapid pace that you will absolutely destroy your competition. And now look, this might not be about destroying your competition, right? Maybe you're not competing against somebody. Maybe you could for fun, but what I am saying is that the faster you accomplish that desired goal, that desired outcome that you want, you can potentially finally live the life of your dreams fully, right? Because that is the ideal of what you have, whether that's getting married, whether that's having $1 million and just having it, recurrent interest and living off of that, that's not a lot of money, but for some, it could be. For some, that could be plenty of money, right? I can move out to Thailand, and if I'm making 5% a year on my $1 million, that's 50 grand a year. You don't need anything else, right? So it's literally anything. That is the biggest message that I want you guys to get from this video, is that you have to find a way to become hyper focused and be able to make decisions at such a rapid pace that there is just absolutely no reason why you can't accomplish your goals.